Intro music, go! Welcome to the Absolute Comics Show! Oh, see how I rhymed that? This is the weekly show where I get together with Sal. We talk about stuff going on in the world of comic books, and we talk about comic books. We do this a lot. We enjoy it. And if you enjoy this show, check out our sponsor, Spotify. Spotify's got Comic Storian on it. You should go look at that. Go to Spotify. I'm on there. It's my full stories. Someone linked me, warning me that someone stole my content and put it on Spotify. I responded with, I'm in the intro on camera.
Someone did steal my show and put it on Spotify.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Are you currently on Spotify? Are we promoting your show as well?
I have 2 shows on Spotify. You can listen to the Elseworlds Exchange or Off the Rack on Spotify.
But
no, Back Issues is not on Spotify anymore because somebody thought they uploaded it as like an unlisted show, and it wasn't. And I'm like, that's not yours to share,
right?
And I had to get involved, and thankfully everybody was cool about it. Like it was a method through which they were like, I wanted to listen to it in the car, and so I did it my own way. And I'm like, that's fair. Please take it down.
Right, yeah. It's like because this is not intended. This is not what I meant for.
Yeah, like I don't need to lose revenue because as much as I love Spotify and I love that our shows, all of them, are on Spotify, I don't see a nickel for that.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm not going to go into my arrangements, but I do see money in that, which is why I always said I would never go to Spotify unless we made money, and now we do. Nice. And Sal, there is a secondary sponsor on today's episode. Another deal that I have worked out for us. I'd like to let you all know who currently watch the show and enjoy it about our other sponsor, Shortboxed.
Hey!
Check out Shortboxed. They got a great app, and it allows you to find comic books for your collection. They helped me track down, and I'm not lying about this, the first appearance of Ghost Rider. Here's the problem. It was $25,000 and I could not buy that. But they did help me get it before telling me the price. Did they not, Sal? You were there.
They did. They were like, here it is. You're like, oh.
I do not have $25,000. So what I'm saying, though, is check out our sponsor, Shortboxed. You can get a lot cheaper comic books in your collection. It is a great way to start your collection today. All right, there. All right, did a sponsor plugs.
That's a good copy.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, $25,000 for Ghost Rider was quite expensive, and I said if my investor shows up, I will do it, and he never did. So,
yeah.
So anyway, today I want to talk about, we got a couple topics here to go through, and a couple comic book events that are happening because Night's End happened. I'll tell you what, I don't believe you read the ending of it, right?
I haven't read today's issue. I read the last issue, but not the most.
I won't spoil the resolution for it, but I do want to talk about the post epilogue thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that way you can enjoy your resolution. I'm not going to go into that. Okay.
Wonderful. Okay.
Now, Night's End, I do want to say I did actually like the end. Okay.
Yeah.
If you were worried that once all the heroes woke up, this would no longer be a backdoor dead man story, you're wrong. It's a dead man story all the way to the ending. And I love it.
I mean, we want that.
Yeah. Well, I was worried that once like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman woke up, they would just take over.
Sure.
But they were just too busy fighting the evil versions of themselves. So, which was a great finale. But what they do is, and I love this, and this has been what I was giving Night Terror's props for, they continue to link it properly into everything else going on in the DC universe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the ending ends with Batman is unconscious. Once again, won't go into exactly why. He's unconscious. So there's a concern of we don't know how long he's going to be removed from Gotham. So that's laid out there, which directly, I'm assuming, is going to lead into Batman versus Catwoman, which is the event happening next in Batman.
Gotham
Superman says that he can't deal with this anymore. He's got to go back to Supercorp to deal with his own mysteries and Lex Luthor. While Wonder Woman is saying that there's the anti-Amazonian act starting, and she needs to go prep for that, which is going to lead into the amazing Tom King book that we both have had the pleasure of reading already.
That's right.
So it continues to link everything together, but what we find out in the epilogue of the epilogue, this is all a part of Amanda Waller's plan.
Yes.
The superheroes have lost. No, the world doesn't have faith in them anymore. And that's what she wanted. So now she's prepping to attack the Titans, directly linking us to Batman versus Superman, the ongoing Batman versus Catwoman, the ongoing Superman, the next stage of Wonder Woman, and Beast World, the Titans event.
Ah, okay.
So I'm like, you're keeping it all in line, and I love that. There's no question where everything fits. Right. You're telling me. Yeah. And I don't care how ham-fisted it feels at times, Like,
Mhm.
oh, Superman just conveniently brought up Supercorp. Yeah, I need that though. I need to
It's
know where this
happening right
fits.
now. Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's great. I mean, I understand people's reluctance to get into it, and I know it's like fatiguing for some folk. I don't know which I prefer at this point, but I do know that like it's I'm not complaining. Seems fine to me.
Yeah. And this goes into an argument that one of our viewers brought up beforehand, and I wanted to talk about this here, and then we're going to talk about Spider-Man.
Yeah,
But the argument that nothing happened in the comics, I hear that all the goddamn time, and I'm so
Totally.
sick and tired of it, Sal.
yeah. Me
Like,
too.
what do you want to have happen in these events of yours? I'm actually asking you this because we heard that at Axe, nothing happened. Oh, what do you mean nothing happened? The Eternals have been like changed forever.
Yes,
The
yes.
X-Men's big secret was out in the world.
Yep.
Like what more do you want? Like, what do you want everyone dead?
Yeah, they
Is
want
that-
like they think they want lasting change. Like they think they want characters to be killed, and then when they kill them, they go, "Well, that won't stay," and obviously it
Right.
won't. But like it won't. It certainly won't with that attitude. But then it's like, well, who wants meaningless deaths or just deaths for death's sake? I mean, everyone complained about the Ms. Marvel deaths, so it's like, then what are you looking for? So
Yeah.
obviously, okay, maybe it's not death. Well, then what do you want? Lasting change. Well, in Marvel, there still is no shield organization, and
Yeah.
it has caused a real problem in terms of like cleanup and organization and control and like authority in the Marvel universe. Like there are a lot of elements that have changed. J. Jonah Jameson has been publisher of the Daily Bugle in over a decade. There are a lot of
right now he's
changes.
best friends with Peter Parker.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
in the Doc Ock versus Norman Osborn arc, that
Right?
J. Jonah Jameson was right there
Yeah.
as one of the guys fighting for Spider. This is change.
Yeah. What do you mean?
This
What do
is
you mean things
consequence.
don't change? Spider-Man was married to Mary Jane for over 20 years, and now he hasn't been for almost as long.
He was dating Black Cat for 25 of those issues, right? And like now they're dealing with that because in 31 we have him calling Black Cat and her
Yeah.
being like, "What's going on with you?"
Her dumping his ass. Yeah, it's there's a lot of like of change, but it's like what kind of change are you looking for? And I think it's the fact that people don't what they're really looking for. What the readership that complains about this endlessly is looking for isn't quantifiable or identifiable. It's not something where they can like really put their finger on it and go, "That's what I'm looking for." It's something where they go, "I'm not feeling it," or
Yeah.
the veil has been lifted and I can't get my innocence back. They don't know that truly in their heart of hearts, they just don't trust the story anymore. I think that's the problem.
Because like the consequences of Night Terrors is one, Amanda Waller gained the helmet of hate and the Nightmare Stone and created the new villain, Dr. Hate.
Dr. Hate.
And the entire world no longer trusts the Justice League.
Yeah.
They don't have the faith of the world behind them anymore, which is what her goal is.
Mhm.
Meaning that the heroes lost that fight. Because that's all Insomnia wanted. Insomnia didn't have some big plan of like taking over the planet. He
Nope.
wanted people to see the heroes how he saw them.
I would love it because
Yeah.
number one, drawn by Patrick Gleason. Number two, it's a pretty like fun, high flying adventure. Like I don't really care for Queen Goblin. I think she sucks and is stupid. But if you're gonna do anything with
I
her,
agree.
pair
I
her up with
actually agree.
Graven.
I do agree with you. I think that she sucks. She's kind of stupid, but I don't think she's irredeemable yet.
No.
So
Although, she's lame because her motivation is I don't want to be this anymore, but she also revels in it and wants to be this, and also she's more interesting as this, so she never will not be this. And yet every story she's in is about getting the sins of Norman Osborn out of her. And then in this issue, they do. And she's
Yeah.
like, how come I'm still Queen Goblin? And it's like, you don't know. And as my wife pointed out, to much surprise on my behalf, because I didn't even think about it, and clearly neither did Zeb Wells or any Marvel editorial. And the reality is there's a reason for that. You want to get these sins out of you? You say you're a horrible goblin monster that's flying around killing people, and you're rational enough to have consensual sex with a clone of Kraven the Hunter, but not enough to call Doctor Strange, who has an address in the phone book.
He does.
Like you can literally go to his house.
I think
and be like,
they retconned.
"Nah."
I think they retconned Craven again because he comments that the dead Craven is his father. Not
Yeah,
the
he's a clone.
No,
No,
I
I
know.
mean-
I know what he's supposed to be. I'm saying that's why I said I think they retconned
he's-
him again.
No, that's fine. They could say he's his father. He's not really his father, but he's a clone. Like
Right.
he was a
He looks
clone.
identical to him.
He is. He like the High Evolutionary made a whole bunch of clones of Craven. They're all exactly the same, and Craven kind of raised them. And that Craven was the survivor, and so Craven like technically did raise that Craven. So like yes, this clone Craven is also Craven's son, even though Craven has a son, and it's in a horrible book called Get Craven. If you want to go check that out, it's the worst book ever written.
Right.
But yeah, so
Yeah, so then basically we do the sins, the Goblin Queen. Now, I think the problem with I think she's redeemable because I think they're basically trying to retcon her a little bit.
oh yeah,
Because it's quite obvious she was meant to be the Green Goblin versus Ben Reilly Spider-Man, but
Mhm.
people weren't having Spider-Man Beyond.
nope.
So she is a remnant of that, just like Chasm is. Like this was our attempt to do something with Ben Reilly. None of you bought it. You all wanted a redeemed Ben Reilly story,
I
and
don't
none
think
of
that's
you
what
bought it.
is. What's it called? Nick Lowe, the editor of the Spider-Man line, has like a really weird, creepy, rambly, like last page post that like that should have been relegated to like a blog post or like a tweet, but instead was printed in an actual comic book. And it like at the end of the Beyond arc, where it was like, this is for one of my friends who really, really wanted Ben Reilly to be a thing, and no one at the office has any plan for Ben Reilly. We don't want to do anything with that character. He has no relevance in today's climate, but we decided, well, we need to like kill some time and do this. Like we needed to do a convergence where it's like, here, fill this up with this amount of time. And so we did it by having Ben Reilly be Spider-Man for this period of time, and kind of like give him a send off, like a thanks for being a character that some people seem to like kind of arc. It wasn't so much that it sold badly as much as he was doomed from the start. Like people need to look at Beyond as just it is the nicest Marvel will ever be about Ben Reilly, because they have no interest in using him at all.
See, but it was 25 issues. I feel like if it sold like gangbusters, it would have just like Superior Spider-Man lived on past his death until he stopped selling.
Well, they canceled the book. That's the problem. Like Superior Spider-Man, they killed the momentum. That book, Superior Spider-Man works so well in the context of what it was written as by Dan Slott, when it was like, at the end of the day, Superior Spider-Man replaced Amazing Spider-Man in the publishing line, and then Amazing Spider-Man resumed when it was over because Peter Parker is the Superior Spider-Man. Like that was the log line of that series. But what they didn't count on, I think, was that it created an entirely new audience of people who like Doc Ock as Spider-Man, and they should have been like, hey, Slott, can you write 2 books a month and just have it be Amazing Spider-Man goes this way and Superior Spider-Man goes that way, and keep the momentum going? I mean, can you imagine if they had 2 Amazing Spider-Man books essentially that are selling as the top selling books at Marvel at that time? Like that would have been unprecedented, especially given that we've had other Spider titles at the time that didn't sell half as good as Superior Spider-Man would have if they had continued it. But they killed the book because it was part of the plan, which I deeply respect. But then they canceled the book, or rather transitioned it back into Amazing Spider-Man. And then only long after they realized there was an audience that was like, I don't like Peter Parker, they went, oh, well, bring it back then. And by then it was like, well, you might as well have resurrected Scarlet Spider because no one's going to read that book anymore. I mean, statistically speaking.
Well, because they killed the momentum, so you had to restart an entirely new story.
Exactly.
But that's what I'm saying. I still believe, and while I do think the original plan was we'll do Scarlet Spider, we'll do Ben Reilly for 25 issues and end it.
Yeah.
If it's sold,
it would have kept going. Absolutely.
Because that ending could have gone in either direction. He turned into Evil Chasm, or Ben Reilly's going to go figure himself out over here now.
Absolutely. No, you're right.
I feel like we could have easily had Spider-Man Beyond be that what you just described, but it didn't sell.
Yeah, no, it didn't sell like Superior, certainly. And the Beyond arc does end with him becoming Chasm.
Yeah.
So like they did have some plan for Ben Reilly, and that plan was to make him that.
But what I'm saying is with the Goblin Queen, I feel like she was supposed to be more integral to what they wanted to do with Ben Reilly.
Yeah.
And because that's what she was, but she didn't really do anything. They didn't give her time.
No.
And so that's what I feel. I feel like now we're trying to retcon her back into normal. Like, well, we like the idea and the design,
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to keep this like half naked Goblin Queen around because, guys like this, right?
Why
Like,
not? Well, and I guarantee you they will like make some half-assed reveal, because of course the idea that they had was, oh, the sins of Norman Osborn are in her. That's what's making her a goblin. So we pour them into a spear that Kraven's going to wield. Wait a minute. How come if it's in the spear that I'm still a goblin? I know. Make someone else a goblin. hopefully Norman Osborn, and then I won't be Queen Goblin anymore. But of course, we're gonna find out in the next issue after Peter gets speared that she is still Queen Goblin.
Yeah.
And so they're going to retcon that like she was always a goblin or that she had some kind of serum.
Well, she's
in
a
her.
clone, right? I'm
She is a
wondering if
clone.
she's going to be like a female clone of Green Goblin, and like
She
that's
could
what
be.
she
Yeah,
actually is.
I'm not actually Ashley Kafka. I'm half Norman Osborn. You know,
Right. Something like that.
Something terrible like that.
But so anyway, you just said what the ending is. How do you feel about Peter getting the sins of the goblin in him now? That's
You know, I wouldn't have normally cared. Like, and normally I would have been like, oh, you know, if this was a book that was dropped 25 years ago, or if this is a book from 40 years ago that I just picked up as a trade paperback, I'd be like all in because A, I know where it goes, and B, it's no weirder than any other Spider-Man arc that has existed. You know, people talk about it being a street level purse snatching criminal bad guy stopper, but he also has like an alien costume from beyond the stars, and he's like a cosmic constant that has a multiversal variant of himself that like, you know, exists throughout time and space. Like he's everything. So why not make him evil for a little while or for two or three issues? But there's a number of reasons why this sucks. And the first of which is number one, them saying, oh, this is going to be 24 issues of this. Like he's going to be evil.
I didn't know that. We're going 24 issues of evil Spider-Man.
That's or rather the fallout of this will kick off a 24 issue arc, and the first issue showcases a horribly drawn John Romita image of Peter Parker Spider-Man as a goblin. So he's still a goblin. But it could be a misdirect. Could be Norman Osborn
I'm actually
becomes
not
a Spider-Man.
I'm not saying it's going to be good.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be terrible. But
Right.
I'm not against exploring this idea because as much as people want to whine that we're always getting the same concepts, this is a new idea.
This is new. This is
new. And if you just want Spider-Man, Dan Slott is literally writing that right now. If you just want Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Right.
Now, I wonder how they're going to incorporate the two of them together because now, Amazing has been going in this trajectory, and then Dan Slott's doing this, and they are not intersecting.
They are not intersecting, but they do occasionally reference each other. And when I say reference each other, I mean Dan Slott is nice enough to reference what Zeb Wells is doing, and not vice versa. Like that's it. Like, but Slott cares about continuity, at least, and as far as he can see, and so he likes to do that. And he also cares about Spider-Man deeply, so he really wants to like make it all fit. I understand that.
I'm gonna laugh so hard if 2 issues into this Amazing, Bailey shows up.
Right.
All right,
and he's
Peter,
Spider-Man
what's wrong with you?
I don't think Bailey's ever going to appear in this Amazing Spider-Man run. But
I don't think so either. Because he's not even referenced. It's not even like an offhanded, like, oh yeah, we got a new Spider person jumping around over there.
Ironically, in both Spider titles, we have 2 unasked for crappy Spider offshoot characters. We've got Bailey in Spider-Man, and we've got Wreck Rap in Amazing.
Oh yeah, Wreck Rap is back.
Wreck Rap's back, baby. Can't wait. Love Wreck Rap. Best new character in the last 50 years. I challenge you to find a better one.
So do you think that they're going to end this Norman Osborn thing with him taking them from Peter? Like that's how they're going to redeem this?
I mean,
so Norman's not going to be his friend anymore, but he won't go full evil right away, and he'll kind of be
that seems to be what they wanted to tease, right? They want you to. I mean, like that's the obvious thing to do, which tells me they might not do that because that would be like a narratively satisfying conclusion. So instead, I couldn't even guess. You know, they could pour they could stab Wreck Rack with them and make Wreck Rap into a goblin spider monster that they have to deal with. And Norman is still called Goblin. Like they could stab Kraven with it, make Kraven into a goblin. They could make Peter continue to be a goblin and then reveal that this Peter that's been in the book since issue 1 has been a clone the whole time, and the real Spider-Man is someplace else.
Oh, dude. Okay. Shittiest idea ever. They did it in the 90s. What if we find out that this has been Ben Reilly the whole time?
That'd be amazing. If they
and Chasm is Peter.
Peter Parker is Chasm.
And honestly, he just doesn't have his memories.
That'd be amazing. I'd be okay with that at this point because I couldn't care less about what's happening in this book. Like, yeah.
That would be, they did that in the 90s where they're just oh, you guys aren't taking this? That was Ben Reilly.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah. No. So at this point, Peter has been, because there's nothing really that, I don't know. I don't remember. Dark Web is such a blur at this point because who cares? But I don't remember Ben Reilly doing anything particularly evil that caused the death of anybody. So you could still be like, Peter's over there and he's in purgatory just waiting.
As it stands, all Ben Reilly did was kidnap Peter, bring him to the demon world. No one died there.
Yeah. I think that debt collector died, but I think I think Maddie killed him. I don't know.
I mean,
Either way, who
I
cares?
forgot they keep reading that. Hollows Eve came out with its own thing now, so
I'm not reading that.
it's not bad. It's really not
I
bad
heard,
from what I
I
read.
think you've told me, yeah.
From what I
yeah.
read,
I like the design of Hallows Eve. I hate the name, powers, and character. So I'll never be interested.
Oh, so anyway, yeah, that's what's going on in Spider-Man. That's what's going on over in Batman. Are you? Let's go back to Batman for a minute. Are you excited for this Batman versus Catwoman war?
No.
But it's Chip Zdarsky. I thought it was something else. It's the next chapter of Chip Zdarsky's run. Yeah,
it looks. Yeah, I couldn't care less. Chip has been slipping.
But when was the last time that Batman and Catwoman fought?
I don't know. It's got to be probably like.
It's got to be pre-Hush.
Pre New 52, right?
No, but even before that was Hush, and she was on his side.
Yeah.
So like, I'd say it's like 90s. But even then, she had a comic that was anti-hero.
Oh, the 2000s, I think they might have fought during like No Man's Land or something. Like they definitely
not
fought.
No Man's Land, because No Man's Land is one of my favorite stories, and I do not remember there being anything more than a misunderstanding fight.
Yeah,
like, I'm talking like event wide.
Oh,
she's a primary villain.
I don't think there's ever been one of those. Like I don't think there's ever been a Batman versus Catwoman story. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of like this idea because we haven't explored it yet. We haven't done this yet. And she has a rationale for wanting to do this. It's not just Catwoman's just gone evil.
No.
She doesn't think he's done a good job with Gotham, which is valid.
She's right.
He hasn't. Yeah, it's like because he hasn't.
Yeah, no, this is yeah, that's true.
I still want to know where Failsafe went. He just left.
I don't care. I mean, like Failsafe was a fun arc, but
they've been hinting at it though, because if you read the backups where they tell more about Zur-En-Arrh, we find out that was Failsafe's question. Where do I go when I win?
Right.
Like
that's So that Zur-En-Arrh thing, I don't know. That's the thing is it's just not interesting to me. Like none of this is intriguing me or exciting me. I'm just kind of like,
but
okay.
you know, I can already tell you what's going to happen. Zur-En-Arrh is going to fight Catwoman.
Yeah.
We're not going to get a Batman who's going to hold back. We're going to get Zur-En-Arrh.
Yeah. So and that'll further like damage their relationship to the point where like she'll never be able to trust him again and da 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 da. Like, yeah, okay.
Did you wrap up on Daredevil?
Mm-hmm.
What the was that issue 14?
Not great. That's that's the problem. The problem is I don't know. Maybe Chip's busy or he's distracted or something because his last arc of Batman and his last arc of Daredevil have been like fair.
Like, okay, I didn't like Batman in Evil Gotham, okay? But I chalked that up to it's just kind of what we're doing. He's going to come back. We're not staying here.
The reality is that arc, when Batman was like in another reality, it could have gone one of two ways. The way they went, or it was all in his head and he was in a tube.
Yeah.
Right? Which would have been better at this point. But it didn't look very good. The problem was the art was not at the level it needed to be in order for it to be passable. So you have not stellar art on an arc that was not Chip's best work, and as a combination you get people who go, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And it's like it's clearly not, but it's also just not up to snuff. You know, some people really like James Tynion IV's run on Batman, and I'll bet they do when Jorge Jimenez was drawing it.
Oh yeah, well,
you know
art 100% can make or break a story. You can give me the worst story ever, and if the art is good, I'll still enjoy it.
Yep,
like straight up, I can tell you that right now. And I've made it very clear I'm an art guy. Art will win over a subpar story.
Right.
Like the story can't be bad. If it's a bad story, art is not going to save it, but it can be subpar. I didn't mind that Gotham run. I'm glad it was only like 5 issues though.
Yeah,
because it did feel like we're kind of retreading a lot of the same paths we've done with Batman before.
Yep.
So I liked that it wrapped, it moved on. We didn't dwell on it for too long.
No, exactly.
The problem I have with his ending to Daredevil is his original 36 issue run was amazing.
Yes.
Devil's Reign, the core idea was amazing. A lot of the spin-offs were went in different directions. You're like, what the is happening?
Well, and it ended up being like Civil War 4. And it was
but that wasn't Chip's idea. You knew that Chip wanted Devil's Reign, and that was it.
Devil's Reign was a Daredevil arc.
And then Daredevil, Chip Zdarsky, Volume 2, I guess, or whatever this part is, 1 through 10 or 11 was great.
Yep.
But
agreed.
you could tell that he had signed the deal to Batman, and he had to leave.
I don't think he had to leave. No. He when he was with Marvel and DC at the same time, and he was like writing the flagship title for DC and also Daredevil. We're in a weird place in the comic industry where like you can get away with that at this point, or it just shows how in demand Chip Zdarsky is. Where both companies were like, all right,
Yeah, do whatever you want.
Yeah, but like I think it was all up to Chip. I don't think anyone made him do anything. I think Chip chose to end his Daredevil arc, and I don't think it had anything to do with DC. I think it just has
But
to
it
do
just
with
felt
him.
like it stopped too early.
Uh,
You were building up all of this. The Avengers are against Daredevil. Daredevil has
Yes.
a motive of his own. He's going to hell. He gorges his eyes out. And then
Uh-huh.
it's like, and we're done.
Yeah, it's over.
What?
I mean, maybe he was like, maybe I overstayed my welcome. Maybe I overextended. I mean, like when we got to the island, I was like, this is losing focus. And then, I just couldn't care less about most of the things that happened. Like him going onto the into the prison and kidnapping people to join his army. I was like, this is really cool, but it never really pays off or goes anywhere interesting. It's just like
That's why I feel it ended early.
Yeah,
Because
no, you're right.
Like the only payoff in that was the one villain that he decided to let go because of everything going on.
Yeah. No,
but like nothing really came out of that. Just like the Avengers showing up to fight him, nothing came out of that. The battle against Punisher in the hand, nothing came out of that.
That Punisher thing was just a dropped effing ball. And now that being said, I think that was just like coincidentally, Jason Aaron was doing this and Chip's doing that, and they were like, "Oh, I guess it would be weird if we didn't do something together."
Right.
But they didn't, and all they did was Chip referenced it, and then that was it. Because Aaron didn't reference anything Daredevil. Daredevil does appear in the book, but of course he does. How could he not? But it's barely. There's no Chip in there. It's just. I mean, Daredevil isn't wearing the costume from the Chip run in the Punisher book. So it's like, that's how different those two associations are. The Daredevil run.
If I remember correctly, he didn't even fight Punisher, right? He fought like the hand other lady and the dragon thing.
The Punisher. They fight for a minute. Like I remember they're vividly they're in the Punisher book. They're fighting and
in the Punisher book. I only read the Daredevil side.
Oh, in the Daredevil book, I don't think like they fight in a big silhouetted last page splash, and then like that's it. Yeah, it's surprisingly disappointing. Somebody in the chat mentioned where they're like, it didn't have to like drag on, let things end. And I'm like, yeah, ending is fine. Stopping is not. And that's what Daredevil did. Daredevil just kind of stopped.
It felt like it just stopped. It didn't feel like we got to a natural ending. It felt like we were kicking back up where, okay, so he left it where he's going to work with Elektra and Chip wants to explore that. Let's see where this is going to go.
Yeah. Because we had Elektra Daredevil, who's like essentially her own character and has her own following and has the potential for her own book. And we're not doing that. Yeah. She got a 3-issue miniseries that was actually a tie-in, and that was it. And she might be still Daredevil, but the next run could be anything. And they're clearly trying to get Matt back into the Daredevil costume. And I'm like, okay.
Well,
like,
I mean, it ended with him in his like preacher outfit thing.
I know.
Like, come on.
Well, and it's like, is that anything? Like, is that enough? Does that make sense if you are explaining it orally to someone? Yes. Does it work in the story and in the context? Kind of. Like it thematically, I understand the idea of like Daredevil being this kind of like dogmatic, obsessive, religious person who eventually, goes through an entire like, Dante-esque descent and then comes out a priest on the other side. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Maybe it's better than I think, but like it felt a little lackluster. Is what is.
We also just left it with, and forgive me if I got this wrong, but everyone thinks he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just back to Daredevil's dead. The world thinks he's dead,
which we've done. Like it would be like if they released his identity again for like the third time.
Yeah,
like come on.
It was weird, but all right, that's what's going on in the world of comics that Sal and I have read. I've read a bunch of manga too, but no one here is going to care about that. I have a manga channel for that, cross promotion. Check out Manga Historian.
Go check out Manga Historian.
Now, let's go through the news that Dan got. Dan had a day off. Dan hit me up and he goes, should I get the news? I'm like, no, you have the day off, man. Just go relax. But I didn't send that because he messaged me while I was out at an appointment for an hour. So I get out of the appointment and he's asked, and then he already did the news.
Oh, that's nice.
So let's at least not waste Dan's news that he did on his day off. Okay.
Agreed.
For those who are wondering, the plan for Sal and me was to talk about comics, and then we were going to look at a Twitter thread that talks about how they could start Batman up in the DCU. We'll do that another day. We'll do Dan's news today.
Dan's news.
Neverlanders by Tom Taylor and Jam Samar. Do you know how to say that one? Samarova. Okay. Becomes the first comic to win an award for the Children's Book Council of Australia in its 77-year history, winning the award Book of the Year for older readers. Pretty cool that this is the first, but not surprising that it's written by Tom Taylor.
Yeah, no, good for them.
I've
Tom
never
Taylor is
heard of
Australian.
Neverlanders. Have you heard of
Nope,
this?
nope, I never heard of it.
Looking at the art on the page here, it looks okay.
Yeah, it looks fun.
Uh,
Good for them. Good looking book.
yeah, no, it looks good, but
Yep, and I'm
that's
glad it won
awesome
an
though.
award. Yeah,
Congratulations to him.
yeah.
September 27th, Kevin Smith plans to auction off his entire comic book art collection. The collection includes tons of rare collector pieces from all of Matt Wagner's covers of Green Arrow, original interior art from his Daredevil and Green Arrow runs, and more. This is expected to be the comic book sale of the century, and a percentage of the proceeds will go to the scholarship fund for Joe Kubert's school.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's cool. I did hear about Smith selling off his art, but I did not hear that some of it will be going as a scholarship to the Kubert School. That's really cool.
I wonder why he just chose to do this. Do you think it's a I need money thing, or do you think it's like what I've done with my collection where it's like I have too much shit?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's fair to say that like he definitely has too much stuff. But he's never really had that problem before because most of that stuff goes into his comic book store.
Yeah.
And because he owns like multiple properties, he could stuff most of those things into those places. Like he has a theater that he has an apartment above that he could fill more stuff with. He has another theater that he built during the pandemic that's over next to the Quick Stop building that he could also stuff with things. Like he has the comic book store in Red Bank, New Jersey that he could also fill with stuff. I mean, like there's another, but apparently he's reducing his inventory. He's apparently downsizing his home. I read a thing, maybe it was in this article, that was like he has a smaller house in New Jersey, and I'm like, is he moving? Like, is he leaving LA and going to New Jersey? Like, I don't know. Like,
I mean, it could be. I mean, he is older though. It could be a
he
simple
is.
thing of he's just downsizing and consolidating everything so that he never has to worry about anything again.
Exactly. Now, I did know that the theater that he built, the Smod whatever, the Smod something or other, the movie theater that he bought, it doesn't make a lot of money.
Okay.
And so and actually that's compounded by like every showing that he attends, he does an auction where he sells off more personal things he owns. Which,
Okay.
you know,
But I mean, it's also going to a scholarship though, so I don't think he's
the-
like hard
a
up for cash.
some of it,
Yeah.
not all of it. But yeah, I mean, well, and he's also he's trying to make a movie right now that like, in the last couple of movies didn't really make a lot of money. Even Clerks 3 didn't really perform the way he had hoped.
Well, I mean, and then not this isn't really an offense, but I didn't know Clerks 3 was a thing until it came to Amazon Prime.
Oh, I know. No, like the movie, I think it cost $7 million to make Clerks 3, and I think it made like 4.
Yeah, I heard about it after it came out. Yeah, it was on a budget of 7 million. It came out and it made 4.7.
There you go.
I didn't even hear about it till it hit Amazon. It was literally on there. I'm like, oh, Clerks 3.
Yeah.
Sal never mentioned this. I wonder why. Oh, that's why.
And that's why. And I did. I think I bought it on Amazon or something like that because I couldn't rent it, and I didn't want to go to the theater. But yeah, I mean, like, I wish him the best. I hope things work out. Like, I hope it's not a situation where I hope things work out. I hope it's just he's like, no, I don't need all this anymore. But a lot of this art that I see in the listing was up in the stash. So I'm kind of like, oh, but it could just be that he's like, well, I'm making it a whole thing, like all.
Yeah,
this
but
art.
it could also be he's downsizing his collection to then improve the collection again.
That could be.
Yeah.
He could just be like, you know what? Like, I mean, the reality is a lot of the art that we're talking about here is art that like he wrote. It's
Yeah.
not his, but it's like he acquired it back in like the 90s. So
Yeah.
it's not like it's new stuff.
I mean, that's what I've done in a couple collections I have. Like, I've sold the entire collections, like Garrity Temple's amiibos. I bought every amiibo that came out, sold it all, made a good amount of money on it. And then I just started collecting amiibos again.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Because what I found in a lot of these collections, Sal, it's not actually owning them. For me, a lot of times, it's the hunt of trying to get my hands on these things.
Well, that's just what collecting is all about.
Right. And that's the fun part. Like,
yes.
The fun
and then you
part's not
have it and you
keeping
look at it and you go, all right, let me get rid of this.
Yeah.
Get the next thing, turn on
exactly. I got to make room for more shit.
exactly. But yeah, I mean, like, it's gonna be huge. I love that like the pre-bidding has begun at $10. My thing is, I wonder if the whole thing is horseshit. Like, Mike, if you recall, this is going back a ways, but like he promised to auction off the film, like the distribution rights to his independent horror movie Red State, at Sundance after he screened it. And so when he screened it at Sundance, like a ton of distribution houses and like movie studios like went to this showing.
Right.
And then he promised an auction, like an old-fashioned classic auction. And then he bid on it himself for $1 and bought it, wasting the time of everyone in attendance. And that was his way of announcing that he was going to start his own production studio or his own distribution house. And it could be that this is all a way to get clicks and get some notoriety, so people are paying attention to what he's doing, so that he can then buy his own art collection, donate the whole art collection or half of it to the Joe Kubert School, where it will be preserved and displayed in Dover, New Jersey, which you should go check out. So he knows the art will be in a good place. He'll keep the ones he wants, and he won't have to really spend too much because the opening bid is $10. And and then he'll do like a thing where it's like, oh, but I'm still going to do the scholarship to the for the Kubert School,
Right? Maybe
like it could be just a whole fake like smoke and mirrors thing to go. And we're starting production on my new movie that you should donate to at our Kickstarter. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what he does with this.
I know
Kevin Smith's done a lot of weird things in the last 5 years.
He's been in a
things
weird
that
place.
make me go, "What are you doing, man?"
Well, remember
like,
he had a complete psychiatric break like a year ago or less. Like,
oh, that's true.
And like had to go to a place to like get better. And I'm glad he did, and I hope he's getting the care he needs. This could be part of it.
Well, before we start speculating on mental health issues, let's move on.
Exactly.
Amy Pascal talks about her experience with Sony and Spider-Man, talking about how the deal with Marvel allowed them to make Spider-Man movies was the reason that Sony kept the lights on. It was worth everything. Stating that the deal to buy the perpetual rights for Spider-Man for only $10 million and 5% of the gross receipts was the best deal as a company Sony Pictures ever made. No shit. You bought it for $10 million. No freaking shit, Amy Pascal.
Yeah.
Like, and you've been holding on to that deal for like 20 years.
Yep. Hey, remember when she sent those racist emails and they said that they kicked her out of the company, and then they didn't, and she made Pascal Productions instead?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we know to this day that the whole Sony having Amy Pascal get Spider-Man for so cheap was a shitty move by greedy, predatory companies, and she just took advantage of Marvel being in a bad spot. That's all it was.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I heard. Well, I was very happy to hear this is just a like puff piece, bleeding cool article about like how she's just like it helped. Yeah, like without Spider-Man, Sony probably would have closed. But I'd read a thing that like maybe it was Pascal. It sounds like something Pascal would say. But again, I can't attribute it to anybody, so this is all speculation and has nothing to do, no bearing in reality. But I remember reading a thing, and it was probably from some disreputable, crappy website that said something to the effect of. Marvel has done its job with Spider-Man, and the next trilogy is going to be ours. That basically there is no more MCU for Spider-Man, and that like we're just going to do 3 movies that are completely like separate from the MCU. That's the only place I'd ever heard of it, and I remember reading it like 3 or 4 months ago. So, but I'm very happy to hear that like that was not reiterated. You know what I mean? Like here's
I don't think
after
the whole hoopla last time, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're just doing MCU stuff right now.
Good.
Speaking of the MCU, The Marvels is going to be the shortest runtime in Marvel movie history at 1 hour and 33 minutes if you exclude the credits.
Great.
Making it the shortest movie by almost 20 minutes, with the previous 2 shortest being Incredible Hulk and Thor: Dark World. The leaner runtime somewhat makes sense, since the movie is said to be a standalone movie with very few ties to the wider MCU. I'm okay with that, because there's nothing to tie it to right now.
Yeah, no, and brevity is the soul of wit. Let's make this movie fun and short. Get in, have a great time, get out.
Exactly. You know what thing I loved about Blue Beetle? Get in, have a great time, get out. We didn't overstay our welcome. We didn't have like 20 extra minutes of Batman jokes. We just did the movie and we got out.
Right? Apparently, the budget for the Marvels was $130 million. That's not bad. Yeah, considering like it probably takes place a lot in space. It's got 3 superheroes, all with different like very flashy powers.
Sam Jackson's back in it.
Sam Jackson's back. That accounts for at least 10 million. I'm kidding, of course. I don't know what does, but like he should. But you know, there's gonna be you know, it shouldn't see a drop in the expected effects. I hope it does well. Like I think the shorter runtime is a smart move. I think that it's yeah, I can't believe they didn't push the release date back. Like it's coming out in November, like the whole time. Which I think is a detriment. I genuinely think that like those three actors, from what we've seen before the strike, they seem to have really good on-screen chemistry. They seem to have a good chemistry throughout their original press tour that didn't really happen. And I was like, man, that would be a good idea to like
I mean, they
get
could
those
still push
three
it back.
on. Yeah, and that's true. I mean, we've had movies like I think Sony is responsible for that, where it's like, oh, that movie's going to come out literally in 2 weeks. Actually, 3 months. Wait, no,
Morbius. They did
a
Morbius.
year.
Yeah, it was Morbius that did that over and over and over.
Morbius.
They just kept bumping Morbius back, and if 2 weeks before the movie was coming out, COVID hadn't lightened up, they're like, push it back farther.
Yeah.
This movie has to succeed.
Yeah, you could still make Craven a write-off if you just don't release that thing.
It probably shouldn't, but they will.
They will.
I'm actually curious now. What did Morbius make?
Oh man, that's a good question.
It broke even basically.
Okay.
It had a $75 million budget and it made $167 million.
Okay. Yeah, that's more than I would have ever expected a Morbius movie to make. And it does teach Sony the wrong lesson, which is make mine Morbius.
All right, last piece of news. On
News.
September 16th, Showcase Cinemas will once again be airing the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy.
That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
going.
Are you?
Wait. Where is Showcase Cinema?
I was gonna say, do you have one? I will come visit you.
Yeah. Hell no. No, I'm sorry. Let me take a look at this here. No, I don't have one.
I'm looking around to see if I do. Find a theater near me. All right, where's the nearest one? Find a
Yeah.
theater. I've never even heard of Showcase Cinemas, so
Me either.
the closest one is 1,083 miles away.
I got one I got a bunch in New York.
Oh, so that's not too far.
But like in Yonkers. Like I can go to the Bronx and see
Yeah,
it.
but what if I come visit you in New York? We'll get like a fancy steak dinner like we always do, go see the movie, and then I'll just fly home.
I will we'll see Batman 2, and then you can leave.
Yeah, I don't like that last one. We'll be good.
We're good. We don't have to watch The Rises
Don't
again.
you want to say it with me, sir?
Oh. God. That movie, there's some fun, I will admit there are a couple of fun scenes in that movie, and I think I like kind of enjoyed them, but no thanks.
I need to go see Turtles still and Gran Turismo.
Oh,
Natalie is finally through treatment, so we're just waiting for her to feel up for it. We're gonna head to the theaters and go see both those.
My favorite thing about Gran Turismo so far has been watching the trailer in front of people who haven't seen the trailer. When they go,
Why?
is that Orlando Bloom? Oh my God, David Harbour is in this movie? and then they go, wait, Neil Blomkamp is directing this? What is this?
My favorite comment is for people who don't know what Gran Turismo is, where the cars start driving and the first thing here is, man, that was totally CG.
Yeah, of course.
No
it was.
shit.
Yeah. The thing that I'm actually kind of excited for, the reason why I'm like, I'll watch that, is because they've been making CG cars for car commercials for the better part of 20 years. CG cars is the easiest thing they can make to trick you into thinking it's real. So it's like, oh, a movie about car racing and the cars are CG and they could do anything. Like, great, good idea. Like that, it might, if it was a movie about bears, I'd be like, oh, well, it'll look like garbage because for whatever reason they can't make bears look halfway convincing.
Right, but cars, we got
but
cars.
They nailed it.
I play Gran Turismo. I feel like I'm actually driving a car, Sal.
Is that true?
No, I don't feel that way, but I do own it.
Because it's funny. I have your PlayStation 3, and with it came Gran Turismo, and I never played it.
3?
Yeah, you sent it to me.
I did?
Mm-hmm.
What was the reason? Did you ask for it?
No, you said you were getting rid of it, and I was like, well, we don't have one. You're like, all right, I'll send it to you.
I was just confused how it ended up over there.
Yeah, you mailed it to me. You were like,
it's not like we ever lived next to each other, is more my point.
Nope, you weren't like, here's
my confusion. Yeah.
I know. No, you were like, I'm getting rid of it. And, or you were thinking about getting rid of it. And then I mentioned that we didn't have one. And you were like, well, here. And I'm like,
okay.
Cool.
Well, Gran Turismo is a great game, but it's one of the things it does well is it looks real. That's the point. Like the cars, and when I'm playing, it doesn't look real, but it'll film it all and put it as a replay, and it looks like if you were to catch this on a glance coming by it, you wouldn't be able to tell.
That's really
if
cool.
if you stare at it long enough, obviously because of the way the environments look and everything like that, you'll start to stand out. But
Right. But that's awesome. That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
And we're getting Turtles on September 1st, so you can finally watch Turtles.
I'll just watch Turtles on digital
this Friday. You'll love it. It's really
okay.
fun.
So I'll watch it this weekend, and next Monday we'll review it. Finally,
boom. There we go.
Done. Okay, cool. That'll be Turtles watching.
Turtles.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Absolute Comics. If you want to stick around, check us out every Tuesday right here at Twitch at 5 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/comicstorian. You can also catch us on Spotify. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, please give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed this. Let the world know that we are a good podcast. Or, don't review it and let them know that you don't care.
Just don't give it a 1 star.
Yeah, just don't give it a 1 star. We really don't like those. And if you are watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you're watching this anywhere else, I didn't put it there, so please let me know.
That's true, yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching today's episode. We'll see you next time right here.